It's really important that we take the time to have difficult conversations, and we're going to dive into this river of crap that has been flowing through the horsemanship industry probably since the dawn of time. But thanks to social media and YouTube and these different types of platforms and social media and these algorithms that pander to things that make us feel good, has scaled the reach of these very, very bad ideas and principles. And at the core of this, one of the biggest issues, and the reason that I felt pressed to bring this up, is because it's getting people hurt. And it's going to, if it hasn't already, get people killed. And I love people. I love my horses, and I love people. And when I see people being misled because other people are being selfish, it bothers me. And I want to make this very, very clear, because this is not the first time that I have taken time to press on things that I disagree with and things that I believe are very prevalent industry issues. And I'll make this very, very clear, because I get a lot of messages, we get a lot of comments when this stuff happens. And this is not about a particular person. This is about the principles of the matter. This is about what is happening, not necessarily who is doing it. Because at the core of this is that the people are just merely vehicles for these bad ideas. If the industry wouldn't support these principles, these teachings, these thought processes, they would have no platform. They would have no influence. But the reason they have influence is because we are creatures of comfort, and they're selling that. They're selling what feels good. And regardless of what we disagree on, because here's the thing, none of us will ever agree 100%, because we're human. At something we find, we will always find something that we disagree on. But we cannot lose sight of the fact that we probably agree on a whole lot more than we disagree on, right? And so even while there are people that are out doing the things that I think are extremely, extremely detrimental to people and horses, which if I'm going to press on in this, there probably are still things that we agree on. And one of those things is that we want what is best for our horses. I fundamentally believe that we all want that. And there's not one right way to do it, but there are principles, there are truths that serve the horse and that serve people. And this river of crap does not, or is not, built on principles of truth. And if anything we're pursuing, despite all of our differences, there's one thing that we should all be pursuing in every area of our life. Mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, horsemanship, every realm. And that is the truth. I try to do everything I can every single day to find the truth. I understand that there has been times where I've been wrong. And I will continue to be wrong. Because we're flawed as people, but in pursuit of the truth. So what I share with you are the things that I know to be true. And the reason that this issue is so pressing is because it's getting people hurt. And I can't stand by. I've had these conversations with people. I've written Facebook posts about this. And with that being said, the best way I've found to articulate this river of crap that is flowing through the industry is that there are people that are spreading the prosperity gospel of horsemanship, where they tell you, if you want your horse to be more connected, if you want your horse to like, if you want to have this partnership with your horse, that you have to get more connected with the horse. You have to spend decades to just keep trying to get better, keep showing up to the clinics, keep buying the videos. And maybe if you ever get good enough, your horse will find you worthy and your horse will then want to spend time with you. And they sell you all these things that, if you want your horse to like you, if you want your horse to love you, if you want your horse to want to love doing the job that you want to spend doing with them, that you have to do all of these things. That is a load of crap. It's not true. It's total bogus baloney. And there's a couple of reasons that people do this. I'll make the obvious statement first, and then we'll get to the deeper core issue that is the much larger issue at hand. The most obvious reason that people do this is because of their own selfish gain for their business. Okay? It is very obvious that if you have students, if you teach in a way to where people have to be dependent upon you for them to get what they want, then you gain. They keep paying for lessons. They keep paying for clinics. They keep paying for that video membership. They keep paying for all of these things. And this is a huge reason that people will sell you this crap, is because they know that they are leading you astray. They know they're taking you on the windy trail that will take years and years and years to get there, and it's actually not what it takes to get the result. And so therefore you'll never actually arrive, but you'll start to get some little hints of hope along the way, and you'll have to keep paying them. And honest to God's truth, this is in the hunter-jumper industry. This is in the Western industry. This is in the recreational industry, where people keep their students dependent upon them for their own selfish gain. And it's one of the biggest reasons we've seen, I would say a decline, but at least a massive gap in the quality of horsemanship skills that is necessary and that we should be seeing in the industry. Instead of instructors actually teaching the truth, supporting their students in developing real horsemanship skills within their students, which would better benefit the student, it would better benefit the horse, it would better benefit the industry. No. They take the shortcut, they pander to people's feelings because that's what makes the student feel good, and therefore makes the student less prepared, less skilled, and more dependent upon the instructor, which the instructor, these short-sighted people, look as job security. And I see this all the time. I've traveled the country teaching clinics, helping other horse professionals. I've run into dozens and dozens and dozens of these people that operate at the core with a scarcity-based mindset. Okay? And that's something that someone can work on to overcome the scarcity-based mindset. But the bigger issue that I'm saying is people that are misleading people intentionally. Those are the snakes in the grass. Those are the people that I'm actually addressing on this. Because if you're somebody that struggles with the scarcity-based mindset and you start to have some awareness that maybe I should change my program or evolve my program a little bit so that I can develop better horsemen, but maybe because I've been clinging to my own survival, I have been keeping these people dependent upon me, but rather what I need to do to actually build a successful program is to actually teach them better fundamental skills, which will create the risk of them potentially leaving, but I have people that are actually prepared. I have better quality students, which will ultimately grow my program because that will build my brand on developing quality skills, quality relationships with the horses, quality horsemen, people that can actually have the skills to stay safe with their horse, which means they're going to tell their friends, which will grow my business. And you can realize that building dependent people only keeps around a certain type of person that is constantly anxious, constantly nervous, uncertain, and it's not a fun environment to be in. And I can tell you that because I've gone and taught in all these places. I've been around these instructors. And there's those that do it because they're trying to cling to survival. And they hopefully through this little brief conversation there can see that that's not how it has to be. And then there's those that do it because there's snakes in the grass and they know what they're doing. They know that they're misleading people. Those are the people I have a problem with. And they're doing it for their own selfish gain, not for their own self-survival, but so that they can get ahead, so that they can have leverage. And it's in every type of discipline. It's in every type of hat that people wear. It exists across the board. Helmet, hat, ball cap, doesn't matter. The people are out there. And so when we get to the principle of the matter, one of the biggest issues on a principle level is that these people have turned the horse into an idol. The horse is no idol. Let me make that very clear. But these people have turned the horse into an idol. And I made that comment earlier, that if the horse were to find you worthy, the horse would want to get connected with you. The horse would be more willing to listen to you. The horse would do what you're asking them to do, but you have to get better. You have to get more connected. You have to do these things. You need to come to the next clinic. You need to keep coming, taking lessons, right? You need to do this. All this stuff, which what I just said, some of what I just said, come to the clinic, take the lesson, wouldn't necessarily by itself be a bad thing, but they're doing it for their own selfish gain. Because they're just stringing these people along, and they turn the horse into an idol, where the horse is no idol. The horses are amazing, okay? But this is a misalignment in values. The horse is not above people. I'm going to lose a couple of you here, and that's fine. Horses are not above people. I said earlier, we have to prioritize safety. And guess what? We have to prioritize the human safety. Because if the human is not safe, the horse cannot be cared for. The horse is not secure if the human is not secure. And if you look at that on an actual level of if the human is not able to let me put it this way, if the human is not secure in the sense that if the human does not feel confident in that horse is going to find a new place to go. And when the horse has to make the transition from this home because the human doesn't believe that horse is a good fit, so they move that horse to another home, that horse has to go through a transition, and every transition has risk to it, and it is a risk for the horse to end up in a new spot, which may or may not be a good thing. Right? So when the human has the skills, when the human has the knowledge, when the human can feel confident, when the human can be successfully and independent as a horseman, and they can navigate situations with their horse successfully, that horse has a better chance at a good life. But it doesn't start with the horse. It starts with the human. It starts with being truthful and honest and developing that human, right? And I've already done a video on better preparing horses. Like, yes, as a horse trainer, we have to prepare horses, but ultimately, horses don't write checks. People do. And that's why these other people, these snakes in the grass, pander to the people. They don't pander to the horse. The horse is actually being subjected to immense amounts of stress, immense amounts of frustration, because they're not actually being served in a way that a horse needs to be served in. These other people, these snakes in the grass, are pandering to the human emotions. The horse is getting the short end of the stick, because if those people, and what we should be doing is telling people the truth. Telling people the truth about the skills that they need, the things they need to work on to actually get the skills, to actually develop the partnership with their horses, which means that those students will eventually potentially graduate and move on and not come back because they don't need it, or they might come back occasionally, but they're not there for less than 3 days a week. They might start there, but they should wean off, or they keep going because they're going deeper and they're actually progressing. They're not just living 51st dates where their horse is doing the same crap year after year after year after year, while some human that claims to be a leader, which is no leader at all, strings them along and tries to give them these little glimmers of hope along the way. right? And so at the core of this, one of the issues is the horse has been created into an idol. And the horse is not, right? The human comes before the horse. That doesn't mean the horse is not important, but it means that the human's needs have to be met in order for the horse to be successful in the short term and the long term. And sometimes, you know what that means? Is that if the human is not actually prepared for that horse, sometimes as a professional, we have to say in the horse's and the human's best interest, hey, there's some things that you as a human need to work on that I can help you with, but you're not quite at a position to get your horse through this. So yes, I could, in a servant leadership way, recommend that they put that horse into training and actually serve them while helping them develop as a human and letting the horse develop as an individual, and then bring them back together where they're both in a better place to actually partner together. Right? But guess what? You have other people that are like, you're the best person to train your horse. Are you really? Really? Because some people are not developed enough as a horseman to be working with the horses that they have. But they won't tell you that. Then what they'll do, they'll tell that person, because green and green makes black and blue. You guys heard that saying before? And that's what happens. But they'll tell you like, oh yeah, Sally, you should go get that feral Mustang. It'll be a great bonding experience. You can learn lots of neat things and you can develop a partnership. Oh yeah, you know what? Allison, you should go get your granddaughter that Mustang yearling or that kill pin what the hell ever. And you should let them grow up together because they can develop an unstoppable partnership. You know what the hell? You know what's going to happen? Someone's going to get hurt. And that horse will probably end up in a bad place because the human doesn't have the skills, the knowledge, the understanding, or the actual support, the real support that they actually need to make that a good deal for them or the horse. And so when we put the horse above the human, the whole thing goes awry. And the other thing that we have to realize is that in order for us to be good leaders for our horses that are actually capable of serving our horse, we have to be good followers. And that needs to be abundantly clear. In order for us to be good leaders, we also have to be good followers. And when we look at these people that are snakes in the grass and they're spreading this prosperity gospel of horsemanship around the world, they're not good followers because they have created false idols. They're following false idols. They're following their feelings. And they're not actually following a true hierarchy, which is why they've placed the horse above the human. And that is not how this works. That is not what actually serves the horse at its best. It does not serve the horse to put the horse above the human. It's just a fact. And for myself, I've found the more time that I've spent working with my horses, whether it's in the round pen, in the groundwork, in the ridden work, the closer I've gotten to God. And the closer I've gotten to God, the deeper the connection I've been able to build with my horses, because I realize that the relationship and the connection that I want to have with my horses is the same type of relationship that I aspire to have with God. That is the hierarchy. And while I am there to lead my horses, I am also at the same time there to follow God's plan for my life. And the better that I follow God's plan, the better that I dive into His Word and understand the teachings that God teaches us and has for us, the better leader I become for my horses, the better leader I become for my wife, the better leader I become for my kids, the better leader I become for my businesses, for our community, and all of those that we're blessed to serve. But in order for me to become a better leader for my horse, I cannot just focus on becoming a better leader for my horse. I also have to focus on, am I actually a good follower? And the more that I've tapped into focusing on becoming a good follower, of following God's plan, following God's mission for my life, of not trying to take control of the things that I have control, of actually submitting to God's plan, of letting go of the anxiousness and the worries that I can be very guilty of harboring on a day-to-day basis. Of doing, oh my gosh, I've got to get all this stuff done. How am I going to pay the bills? How am I going to do this? How am I going to, of trying to, the pursuit of just trying to be perfect. I have to let go of all of that. I have to trust. I have to have faith. I have to be willingness to follow God's plan. And the better that I get at doing that, the better I can look at my horse. And when my horse acts on its own desire, I can have grace to that horse and understand why that horse is doing that thing. But I also can be clear in my communication with my horse. I can ask my horse to let go of their worries, to trust me, to have confidence in me, to guide them. And I have to take on that responsibility. I have to be present. I have to be aware. I have to be further expanding my knowledge and my understanding so that I can lead and guide my horses so that they can trust me, so they can have confidence in me, right? But in order for me to truly understand what it looks like and what it feels like and how to navigate these day-to-day life situations, I spent years just trying to become a better leader. But once I started focusing on, am I actually becoming a good follower so that I can become a better leader, then I had way more sympathy, way more understanding of how to handle those moments where the horse was doing exactly what I wanted to them, and I could reward them for that. Or when the horse acted on their own emotional desires, and I could redirect that, right? And in moments where I needed to be more firm, or I needed to be more supportive, or whatever it is. And when you look at those that are leading people or misleading people, the snakes in the grass, they're not following anything that has a true hierarchy, that has a true, it's all based on what makes them feel good. It's all based on how they ascend to the top. They're striving for nirvana. So they are trying to ascend. They are at the forefront. It's all about them, their feelings, their wants, their desires. And they mislead people because it's not about us. It's about serving others. And if we really are going to be truthful and honest as horsemen, we can have, I heard, I don't know that he once drug into this, but this stuck with me. I remember when I heard it, and I remember Nick Dowers saying, and I think it was at Road to the Horse, I can't remember if it was on a promo video or if he was on the microphone, but Nick had said, like, hey, I believe that God made these horses for us to enjoy them. And I actually think it was during a demo of his oldest son, Cruz, and it was years ago, of him loping around. He's like, hey, I've just let him ride horses. I hadn't even taught him leads. I just kind of waited for them to get naturally curious about, like, hey, how do I do this, Dad? How do I do that, Dad? And I was years away from having kids, but, I remember him saying, like, I believe God put us here for us to enjoy these horses. And I had been at a point in my journey where I had been around all these people where it wasn't about horses for us to enjoy them. It was actually about idolizing horses because we're just there to be their servant. And there's a difference between serving the horse and being the horse's servant. And people that idolize horses believe that people should be a servant to the horse. And that's when these people mislead their students because they start to tell them, in order to serve your horse, you have to do all these things, which turns them into a servant, which completely misleads them down the path, right? There's a difference between When you serve the horse, you put your oxygen mask on first. You get your house in order. You work on yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. You work on your skills so that you are better prepared to serve the horse. But we don't get things out of order. We serve the horse because if we do serve the horse, what does it mean to serve the horse? To get the horse prepared, to make sure that that horse has the things that a horse needs, right? That we're working with the horse in a way that the horse can understand and that the horse can enjoy. But we don't get the priorities out of whack and put the horse before the human, right? Sometimes we got to serve the horse so that we as humans can go do what we want to do. But it's a luxury, right? Like God put him here. I agree with Nick. God put him here for us to enjoy. But when Nick first said that, it stuck with me because I had not been around somebody at that point. And I've been around horses for a while where it wasn't really about our enjoyment with horses as it was us constantly focusing on ourselves so that we can get the horse to do what we want to do so that we can go do what we want to do. And that would, in theory, be enjoyment, but it was so much it was constantly focused on me. I want to do this with my horse. I want to do that with my horse. I. It doesn't work that way, right? And you guys see within this is understanding that if we want to go do the things that we want to do with our horses, we have to get prepared and we have to get our horses prepared, which means we're serving the horse. We're setting that horse up for success. And when that horse is prepared, we can go do a lot of cool stuff. We can go do those things. And it doesn't have to take a decade to finish a horse, right? It doesn't have to take 4 years to get a foundation on a horse. Right? Does it take time? Yes. Does it take a lot of hard work? Yes. Does it take a lot of attention to detail? Yes. That's all true. Right? But when people get these things out of whack of if you want to have these things with the horse, that you have to buy into this prosperity gospel, it's not true. They're totally misleading people because it's for their own selfish interest and because they have their priorities out of whack. We can put our oxygen mask on first. We have to. In order for us to be a good leader for our horse, we have to be good followers. What does it mean to be a good follower? We have to be willing to listen. We have to be willing to submit. We have to be willing to let go of the things in our lives that do not serve us. We have to be willing to focus on what actually matters. We have to be willing to realize that we don't have a control of a lot of things in life that happen around us. We have to be willing to understand that what happened in our past may have been out of our control and it might have affected us, but it's our responsibility to get our act in order so that we can be a productive human in society. And you can connect all of that to horses. That horse might have had stuff that happened in their life earlier in their life. And that doesn't have to be their life sentence. So many people, and these people alone, these snakes in the grass, they keep bringing it up. They keep letting it be an excuse. And they make that one little season become a life sentence for that horse. Because why? Because it keeps you entrenched in their program. It keeps you around. It keeps you coming back because you don't know how to move past it, because you won't move past it, because you won't let that horse move past it. And you probably do the same crap in your own life if you're somebody that's still even listening to this, right? But that's what happens with these people. It's patterns. It's the way we live our day-to-day lives affects how we work with our horses. And when we become more aware of how am I living my day-to-day life? Do I have my priorities in mind? Am I focused on the right things? I don't believe that horses are a reflection of who we are. I think they respond to who we are. Because if I'm aggressive with a horse, the horse does not become aggressive. The horse becomes a flight animal, right? There's a small percentage that might fight back, but many of them are going to flee. They're going to flight. If I'm aggressive, it's going to cause them to feel scared, worried, anxious, nervous. If a horse was a true mirror, the horse would mirror back to me aggression. Right? They respond to who we are and how we exist in the world. They respond, and all of that, if we look at the amount of time that we spend with our horse and the amount of time we spend away from our horse, this is why what we do away from our horse affects the stuff that we do with our horses so much. And so obviously I've gone down a rabbit trail of talking about like the actual solution to this, because that's what I'm here for. Is I don't want to just poke holes in the problems that exist, but actually build a bridge to be like, there is a better way to do this. And if you look at the best horsemen, and I'm talking about the actual best, not the ones that just have the most followers, they've gotten a lot of notoriety. You have to actually look at what they're saying. You have to look at what they're not saying. And I've spent a lot of time, because this has been my livelihood, studying this. There's people that I've looked up to for a long time that I'm like, you know what? There's a lot of things you don't say. Oh, okay, I'm aware of what you're not saying. And then I look at how you do say the other things that you say, because you put that horse up on a pedestal, misalignment in values. Yeah, you can get a lot of things done with a horse. But you also keep these people entrenched in your program because you put that horse on a pedestal. And you won't talk about this other necessary thing in life called faith because you have a misalignment, right? So guys, it's not always about like, we can see what people will say, but oftentimes we have to look at what people are not saying and then go back and go, well, they're not saying all these things. Why aren't they saying those things? Because they're important. They're the most important things that go into developing real skills and real partnerships with horses. Willingness, trust, confidence. They don't talk about how we have to have those things in our own life so that we can actually be good leaders for our horses to have those with us. Because how can you get something from something or someone if you don't have it yourself? It's not possible. So when you realize, and this is what I've gone through, is I've realized what people are not saying, and then you start looking at what they are saying, and you start to see the misalignment. You start to see the intentional omission or the avoidance, or the fact that they're clearly on a different path and they're doing things for a different reason, a selfish reason, a self-serving reason. And you have to decide, do I want to align myself with those people? Well, if they're not really there to serve me, why would I want to waste my time, my money, my effort, my energy? I wouldn't. This is at all levels. This happens in boarding barns. This happens in lesson barns. This happens in training programs. This happens within every type of business. It's people at the core of this. I'm tackling this from a horsemanship standpoint. And there are some people out there that have really strong faith. And they're telling the truth. They're telling the truth about what it actually takes to develop the thing that we all want to have, which is a strong partnership with our horses, a strong relationship with our horses, and skills that we can depend on in the best of times and the worst of times. And what I'm sharing with you is from my own observation, my own experience, in trying to become the best horseman that I can be, and surrounding myself with people. And there's people that I've surrounded myself with that I look back and I'm like, they served me for a season, but they're gone for a reason. Or I've decided to move on for a reason. Because the further I get in life, the more I realize we have to surround ourselves with people that share the same values, that are on similar missions, which is to pursue the path that God intended for us, to reach our fullest potential that God created us to pursue. We all have a mission. We all have a purpose. That means God's at the top, not us, not the horses. That means that there is no promise of an easy life. There is no promise that if you do all of these things, you'll get it. You'll reach nirvana. You'll get into heaven. It's not through works. It's through faith, through trust, through the willingness. That's how we get there. And that's why that works with our horses, because it's divine. It's spiritual. It comes from the being that created everything. God created you. God created me. God created the horses. And that's why this is why this works all the way through. That the better the relationship that I have with God, the better the relationship I can have with my horses, because the better that I work, the more that I work on becoming a better follower, the more I understand how to have grace, how to have sympathy, how to have understanding, how to lead through the tough times, how to understand that there is light at the end of the tunnel, how to understand that being firm can be fair. But it all starts with having our priorities, having our focus in the things that actually matter. And it all starts with, and it's not us. We are not what matters most. That's the thing. Like when I go teach my students, when I work with my horses, I'm there to serve the horse. I'm not there just to get what I want. When I go teach a clinic, I'm there to serve each person, serve each horse. It's not about me, because I'm serving God and I'm serving those that God trusted me to serve. I'm just a vehicle, just like the horse is a vehicle. I'm so thankful that God created horses. I'm so thankful that God created these horses and put them in my life, because they have better prepared me. God did this intentionally, better prepare me to be a better husband, to be a better father, to be a better friend. Still working on that. With all my friends, working on that part. I'm just really bad at reaching out. Okay. Good at lone wolfing it. Okay. I'm working on that. And I just want to be real with you guys. This is the truth. The truth is what matters. And the truth is not that the horse is an idol. The truth is not that you have to get strung along for years and years and years and years to someone that's just pandering to your feelings. We all want the truth. Even when it doesn't feel good, you don't want to be lied to. You don't want to be lied to. None of us do. I don't care if you don't share the same faith. I don't care if you share a different political affiliation. I don't care where you live. I don't care what language you speak. We don't want to be lied to. All of us would rather be told the truth when it doesn't feel good than for someone to lie to us and to allow us to continue to suffer and struggle. How selfish does someone have to be to pander to somebody's feelings, to make them feel good, to lie to them, so that they avoid the initial conflict and they allow that person in that horse to continue to struggle? That is the epitome of selfishness. And that's what these people are doing. And again, the people are just the vehicles. It's the principle of the matter. So when you come across this, because you probably will, you absolutely will at some point, unless you live in a hole or you don't go anywhere and you just got your horses at home. But if you watch videos on the internet, if you go to a clinic, if you go take lessons, you're going to run into people that are full of crap for their own selfish interest, or because they have their values out of alignment. The more that we focus on becoming, because fundamentally what we all do with our horses is not that different. It's how we do what we do. And what changes between what I do and what someone else that's a snake in the grass does is how we approach it. Not necessarily what we do, but how we approach it. Because what we all want to have is skills and partnership and connection and all these things. That's the same. But what separates the wheat from the chaff in this is those that are becoming, that are, when we're focused on becoming the version of ourselves that we're called to be, that we're meant to be. We're focused on and becoming in alignment with the truth. That doesn't necessarily change what we do. Sometimes it will, but it changes how we do what we do. And that's where I'm saying before, is you have to pay really keen attention to not just what people are saying, but how they are saying it. Because they can talk about what you want to have, yet when they talk about how you need to get there, that's the difference. Because their becoming stage is in a misalignment. They have not become the type of person to actually serve you and your horse to get you where you want to go, because they have become a selfish person. So how they tell you what you need to do will lead them to what they want to have, not what you want to have. But when someone becomes a servant to serve others, when someone becomes a follower so that they can become a better leader, it changes how they serve. It changes how they follow. It changes how they lead. And that changes the results that they ultimately end up getting, which means that they are able to serve people. They're able to serve horses. They're able to actually get the results and in this instance, develop independent horsemen. And from an industry standpoint, we should all be striving to do that. right? Our industry is in a critical need for higher level or higher quality horsemanship across the board. And it starts with becoming the type of people that tell the truth and supporting the people that tell the truth and not supporting the people that don't tell the truth. Because the reason that these people reach what looks like to be success is because people are paying to get told what they want to hear. And that will always happen. It always has happened. It's not me doing this one video is not going to forever change it, but I hope that it can reach some of you, and maybe some of you guys will share it, and it will reach people that creates a bigger conversation that ultimately does have a ripple effect, because these are the things that have to be said. And this is about the principle. Those people are just the vehicles for it. But when you see it, call a spade, right? Be kind, be graceful about it. Sometimes it's just don't surround yourself with it. Don't support it. If you're at a boarding barn where this happens, leave. If you have an instructor that does this and you realize that you've been having the same shit happen with your horse for the last 3 years and they're just stringing you along based on your feelings and they're not actually having to move ahead, go find a different instructor. Go find somebody that'll actually help you. That's how. That's why I love capitalism. Vote with your dollars. That's how this deal changes. Unsubscribe from the subscription. Don't surround yourself with people that are going to pander to your feelings. Surround yourself with people that are actually going to serve you. And if you're a professional that has listened to this, serve people. Serve horses. Have the uncomfortable conversations. The changes that we want to see in this industry start with us as professionals. We need to see higher quality horsemanship. We need to see more truth and less pandering. We need to see professionals committed to actually serving people and serving horses, not just trying to make sure that they feel comfy with what's in their bank. Don't be selfish. Serve. That's what we're called to do. Call out the prosperity gospel of horsemanship. Don't stand for it. Speak out about it. If this inspires you, go make a video about it. Tag me in it. I'll share it. Make sure you do it in good spirit, though. Otherwise, I won't share it, right? We can build bridges. We can attack principles. We can attack the false idols. We can attack the issues at hand. We can call out people in a respectful and graceful way when necessary. But that doesn't mean that we have to attack people. That's just my opinion. Let me know what you guys think. Obviously, I'm passionate about it. I'm willing to suffer for it. That's what passion means, is the willing to suffer and struggle. This will probably get me a whole lot more flack than it will positive. But for those of you guys that stuck around and listened to it and got something out of it, let me know in the comments. Send me a message. Share it. Share it and say your opinion, what you took away from it. The change starts with us. The change starts with a commitment to truth and knowing that and acting on it every single day. See you guys next time. Take care.